Now on to this, several illegal miners have emerged from underground in Stilfontein this morning. This has been the trend in the past 48 hours, where a number of miners voluntarily made their way out. Some have claimed that hunger and physical abuse pushed them to the edge, and in them coming out. We now speak to our reporter who is on the ground, Ziniko Mhlaba. Ziniko, a very good morning to you. Have you spoken to some of those who've recently emerged, and have they given you an account of their experiences underground?
Yes, Katleho, we've spoken to some of those illegal miners who came out this morning. And of course, they also used the same shaft which was used by about 21 illegal miners who emerged from Margaret Shaft, but also shaft number 10. I'm going to step out of shot quickly just to give you visuals of where those illegal miners emerged. So at about in the early hours of this morning, about 6 illegal miners came out of that shaft independently, as you said in your intro, and which has been really the trend in the past 2 days, where we see illegal miners coming out in their numbers. This specific shaft, just alone yesterday, saw about 14 people coming out, and many others came out in Margaret Shaft. And in total, when the last time we did some counts, we talked about 28 illegal miners who came out just yesterday. And of course, if you stretch it back to Christmas Day, over 50 illegal miners came out independently between shaft number 10 but also Margaret Shaft. So in terms of the information that we've just gathered from the two gentlemen we spoke to not so long ago, one of the key things they are talking about is the issue of hunger. They are confirming that there are about 15 bodies of people who have died underground due to hunger, but also are saying that there's really a great element of abuse underground. They are saying that they had to flee from the people who are leading or who are called kingpins underground. And of course, it's the same sentiment that was shared by those we spoke to yesterday. Actually, there were 2 kingpins who emerged yesterday, and they were then sent to really to go and probe the situation and install some kind of a climbing spot. And once they got to that point where they were supposed to install a climbing rope, that's when they decided that naturally we are not going back there, we are not going to install anything, we are fleeing. So they came out, but they did say that they are fearing for their lives. And also the issue of kingpins, these gentlemen are freely really giving law enforcement authorities names of people who are still underground. And from what I've picked up, there are about 4 kingpins who remain underground. But they are saying that due to the conditions, due to the level of hunger underground, even the kingpins themselves might make their way out onto the surface in the coming days or even weeks, because there's no longer anything that they can eat underground. But what was concerning were these reports which they're detailing that at some point they are forced to bite each other underground, and of course they are forced by the kingpins as a form of punishment. So that's the situation there. But the scars on their bodies really are telling a story of torture as they make their way up. But also the shaft they've been using, it is not safe. Yes, you can independently climb using the material which is just hang on the sides of this hole, but you have to be really be able to take in the pain, because you'll be scarred as you're making your way out. And we saw those scars in their bodies and their hands, but also in their feet. So that's the situation. But also we understand that there are many others who are still making their way. And as we've seen in the past, there's about 4-hour break in between the groups. So this is the first group which emerged early this morning. Maybe the second group is expected to come or to reach the surface in the next 2 or 3 hours. So that's the situation here. And of course, the law enforcement agencies did say that they were expecting many more illegal miners to make their way after Christmas into the new year. But so far, that has been the trend. And of course, these gentlemen have already been processed. They will be taken to a local police station so that they can be further processed administratively in terms of law enforcement agencies. So that's where the situation is right now. So we will be back again just to see if maybe there's another group that is going to come through in the next few hours.
Ziniko, just to get some clarity, does this mean that this particular shaft that they're using to exit the mine is a lot more easier than the other shafts without being rescued by those community members who are helping them out?
So there are 3 shafts. here, Katlego. One is shaft number 11, where the community volunteers rescue those individuals who want to come out through a rope. So that's shaft number 1. The second shaft is this shaft where we're at. It's called shaft number 10. It is much safer, and illegal miners from the ground are able to climb through the walls and make their way onto the surface, even though it has some objects which might hurt those illegal miners who are climbing through the walls. But it's much safer actually compared to shaft number 11, and indeed people can come out on their own. All these miners I've been talking about, the 14 that came out yesterday and this 6 which just came out this morning, they came out independently without any help of anyone or volunteers, or be it police officers. But also there's Margaret shaft, which is much safer, compared to the 2 because there is, a machinery that is able to lift them out onto the surface independently. It is an operational shaft, and that is why that catch is still working. However, it is no longer operational for gold mining. It's a water, it's pumping water right now. So those illegal miners who are closer to that shaft, they can easily walk into that catch and then communicate with the company that is, harboring that shaft, and of course they'll be able to be taken onto the surface. That's when law enforcement agencies will be able then to arrest them and take them to the nearest police station. So there are 2 shafts in which these illegal miners can independently, come out using them without being exposed to any great harm.
Ziniko Mhlaba, thank you for that update. Ziniko Mhlaba out in Stilfontein, where some miners are seemingly making their way out of that shaft, and we'll continue to see more possibly as the day progresses.